everybody, this is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and I'm glad you're with me today. I had some questions about my sentiment notebook and some questions about different dye inks and VersaFine versus Memento versus Stampin' Up, whatever. And so I had some extra. This is my white scrap bins, and whenever I get to having a little bit of extra scrap, I like to kind of dwindle them down some so that it doesn't get to be overwhelming, because sometimes white scrap can be a little challenge to get used up. So we will use our paper cutter today at some point, and I wanted to show you again this sentiment notebook that I started earlier this year because it has been very beneficial to me in my studio. And on the front half of this I've got all occasion sentiments, and today, and you can see I've just stamped a little bit as I've gone on and added some in the pockets. Now these are baseball sleeves and they are top loading, and let me show you. If I have some that are long, too long, I'll put them in either the second row or the bottom row and just let them hang out, because I like to stamp my sentiments and then leave them however long the strip is so that I can do a custom cut when I'm actually making a card. But you can see how this is a very easy way to go through and find a sentiment quickly when you have a card that you want to get finished. So I put a red divider in here because today we're going to be working on filling up some of these with some Christmas sentiments. It is almost the 1st of July, and I will start in earnest trying to get some Christmas cards done for my senior center and the nursing home. And so today, now, I use Stampin' Up ink pads because that's what I have. I'm sure there's better inks out there, but I have a nice assortment of these, and I've gotten a bunch of them used and re-inked them. So I'm pretty well set with the colors that I need, and so that's just what I have. But Stampin' Up is just a brand, and you may find other brands, for example, Memento. I like this tuxedo black ink. And I like the shape of these ink pads. They're easy to access, where sometimes these Stampin' Up pads, especially the new ones, are a bit challenging. We're also going to use another black ink today because I think for new stampers it can be a little challenging to know what kind of ink to use. And the VersaFine is a pigment ink, which means it's a wetter, stickier ink, and you get a better, crisper image with that than you will with this. And I'll do some side-by-side comparison with that. However, having said that, you are challenged to use alcohol ink with this. So if you're going to ink in black and then do some alcohol markers, this is the ink that you'll want to use, or one of these water-based inks that are not going to react to the alcohol marker. Now, I want to take the camera over to the Christmas storage area and show you all a little bit about that, and then we'll pull some stamps and get started on this process today. So bear with me while I change the camera out. So now in my studio, I have most all of my Christmas supplies in this one bookshelf that houses paper and Christmas stamps, as well as ephemera and embossing folders and ideas and stuff and such here. But that's not the area that we're getting into today. What we're getting into is this little mat box over here. And it was my daddy's, and I had it refinished several years ago, and I use it for Christmas sentiments. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that I pulled a lot of these out and had them on my desk last year. And I thought this year, since I had those nice sleeves to hold sentiments that I would pre-stamp several and get them ready to go for this first run of Christmas cards. And these are the ones that say Merry Christmas basically on them. And let's see what's over here. Oh, these are some that are just to from tags. And then in this drawer I've got overflow. These are leftovers forever stamps from last year's Christmas cards. And these are some leftover Christmas cards from last year. You saw some of these being made, and I just keep them in here in the dark. And then these are some that we've made this year to get started. So what I'm going to do now is to load up a couple of these little trays that I got from the Dollar Tree that are really nice for loading stamps into to move them across the studio. And we'll go back to the work area and start stamping some sentiments to get a leg up on Christmas. Okay, so I'm back at my workstation now, and I have a few stamps for us to work with today from various sources. But I also found some that I had stamped last year just to test some stamps. I'm going to cut these down so that they will fit in the sleeves. And I'm not going to pay attention to the edges. I just want to get them cut down a little bit in some semblance of size that might be usable for us in the future. Because I'll do that final trim when I get to the final stage of the card. You never know, you might have to have one that's just a little bit bigger to utilize to cover up a boo-boo. I know, lots of times I do. So, and there's 3 more scraps for us to use. But this is pretty much the way the process goes for me when I start doing this notebook, filling the notebook with sentiments, because it's not the final product at all. Those were all stamped with Memento, and I think we'll stamp some now with some VersaFine, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the difference. Well, I'll just do some of both. And I have a little mouse pad here. It's an old used mouse pad that I cut in half. I used to use these when I had some stamp classes that I did for folks to stamp on. So let's do a couple here on this Merry Christmas stamp and see if it'll show up on the camera what the difference is on the ink. Because as I said, you can tell, see how that ink has not completely filled in. Now, I could pull this and put it on my MISTI and repeat stamp 3 or 4 times. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is use this VersaFine ink and have a better impression with it that way. So let's see if that happens. I'm going to go right in over top of that ink. I'm not cleaning my stamp because I have confidence in this ink that it will do well. There. And so now you can see a definite difference, and it's just the quality of the ink. All the stamping and everything else was the same. So this is the water-based Memento black ink, and this is the VersaFine pigment ink. So that answers the question of why I use different inks, and it has nothing to do with the color. So I'm going to finish out my stamping today with either the VersaFine black or red and green, because I want some of all of them. And I can do several of these here and then cut them down and use another little stamp on this other end down here. And this utilizes the paper well. Now, I do know myself well enough to know that I like to color inside these with glitter pens, and I'm hoping that they don't react to the pigment ink. Another thing about this pigment ink, it takes a little while for it to dry, several seconds longer than the water-based ink, so you don't want to rub across it. I'll set that across over here to dry. And we'll keep on looking to see what other little stamps I can find that'll fit these little scraps of white paper. And there we go. And that one has a little bit of debris on it. So what happens then is I'll take my pencil and put an X through that side, and I'll try to get any little debris off that I can, and then re-stamp it on the back. There. And that's fine. And we'll do another one. I just want a couple of each one just to kind of show you how it's working. And again, those are two totally different sizes. It makes no difference to me at this point what size the paper is. I'm not sure this will fit in a round one, but we'll try it. Okay. Change my stamps and get a little different size. Oh, here we go. There. Now let me change the ink color because I want to do some of these in the red and green ink as well. I'll cover up my black ink right away and get it out of the way here. And let's try this. I think it'll fit there. Now, on this stamp while I'm here, I have mounted this to where I can pull it off and use it on my Misty. I'm just not doing that Misty stamping today because I wanted to make this kind of a quick little video. And I think I just picked up a little hair on that. We'll find out when we stamp it, won't we? And you can tell when I'm stamping on top of this stamp pad, it gives a really nice impression on these older stamps like this. I don't know that this one, yep, that's a 2007 on that one. And let's see if I can get this one. That's a really long, skinny stamp. I don't know why when this one was mounted, it was put on such a big piece of wood, but it was, and I got it used. And so we'll try it and see if we can get an impression or not, if I can get it in the zone with this strip here. I don't know. Well, I kind of did. Might be able to cut that into a real narrow little strip, huh? I'll try that and see. I think I'll do 2 of that one. And try to bring it down just a little bit this time from where I was. There we go. Alright, now let's change over to the green because I want to do some in green. And I think I'll do this one, Warm Winter Wishes. It's always a good one to have on hand, especially if you have any holiday birthdays where you're actually doing a birthday card instead of a Christmas card, perhaps. And this is a nice little stamp to use up a small little strip of paper. And that's crooked. It doesn't matter. I'll trim it when I get to that point. Let's do another couple in this one. And here we go. And Special Holiday Hugs to You is another one that I think will go on a smaller strip, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes that little exclamation point with the heart at the end of it doesn't work well for these narrow strips. Well, that one worked just fine, didn't it? Let's see. This is... can't read that. It's Annette Waters. I think it's Waters. And that's the only thing I see on this stamp to identify who the maker is. This is a little narrower strip, so let's see if we can get a second one done. I'm trying not to rock these stamps, especially when they've got ink residue all over the edge there, because if you do, then you completely mess up your stuff. Let's try to do one more on that, on this little piece here. There. There's 3 of that one. Let's see what else we got. We've got Season's Greetings. Maybe it'll fit on this piece. Perhaps. Let's see. And there we are. And maybe this one? I don't know. It's always kind of a challenge when you get these little odd widths of paper this way. But it's a good way to use up little scraps like that. Now let's do some Merry Christmas in grain. This is Garden Green, which I think is a wonderful Christmas grain. Been around for a long time, and it's a really nice color. I use it a lot at Christmas time. And there's our 4 of that one then. Now that gives us some to play with, and we'll go ahead and load them up. Let me get my stuff out of the way and I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm not going to pay too much attention as to the sort of these because they're easy to find and read. Really just what I want to do is fit them in wherever they will fit in these little sleeves. And you can see what an easy process this is to do. You use up a few scraps. You can get a little jump start on your holiday season card making this year and during the summertime when you're not thinking about Christmas cards too awfully much, and have a little bit of a head start on some holiday cards. So I hope this has helped, and the explanation of the inks has helped some of the newer stampers in the group. And I will talk to you again next week. So I hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.